Good, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today we've got an interesting video that's popped up on my For You page, and I decided to check out and react to with you guys, which is called KFC versus Popeyes. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Popeyes is something that was only introduced to me about 5 or 6 and loud ass cars. Popeyes is something that was only introduced to me about 5 or 6 years ago. So I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't put on to Popeyes for a minute. To be fair though, we didn't have no Popeyes in Winnipeg, you know what I'm saying? Oh! So when Popeyes finally came through, we was always on that. But if we being real, man, everybody grew up on KFC. Like, let's not act like, you know what I'm saying? Let's not be fake here. We used to love them buckets of chicken. We used to love them Toonie Tuesdays. Let's be realistic, bro. Oh! But with that being said, I don't remember the last time I've had KFC, and I don't think I've even had KFC in my whole time being out here in Vancouver. Oh! So it's been a while since I've had KFC. I feel like the world is generally shifting towards Popeyes. You know what I'm saying? They had their run, but let's see what this video is talking about and see if there's, you know, a reasoning or there's the debate, or let's see what's going on.
This video is sponsored by...
I knew it, bro. I knew it, bro. We're not doing that. Sorry.
Data off the marketing man to get... Bone-in fried chicken is a classic American meal, and for some time now, the two largest chains in the country to sell it have been KFC and Popeyes, longtime rivals that have been using different approaches to capture that market. Well, in 2023...
I ain't gonna lie, that video alone just made me hungry and crave chicken, bro. Oh! I ain't gonna lie, that's so crazy, bro. That looked good as hell, bro. Hold on, bro.
Bone-in fried chicken is a classic American meal, and for some time now, the two largest chains in the country to sell it have been KFC and Popeyes, longtime rivals that have been using different approaches to capture that market. Well, in 2023, it was big news when Popeyes surpassed KFC in US sales. I would say this is comparable to if Burger King were to surpass McDonald's, which has never happened, but it would be surprising and impressive if it did. To make this even more impressive, I want to point out that Popeyes is selling more food than KFC while operating around 500 fewer locations, meaning sales per restaurant have been significantly better. To add some context here, KFC has always been the biggest of its kind, going back to the 1950s. By the 1970s, when the first Popeyes opened, KFC was not only the biggest bone-in fried chicken restaurant, it was the biggest restaurant of any kind in the United States. So you can understand how throughout most of these past 5 decades, it has seemed nearly impossible for Popeyes to ever reach this level, yet here we are. So for this video, I think it would be interesting to explore this rivalry by comparing the two chains in 6 key categories.
Do you guys think that this is more of a situation, before we go too deep, do you guys think this is more of a situation of Popeyes rising, or you think it's more of a situation of KFC falling off? Because when you look at that image that they were showing of KFC in the 90s, like, bro, like, I remember, like, these buckets. Oh, you can't see because my head's there. But I remember these buckets, bro. Like, these with the mashed potatoes and, like, bro, like, this plate right here, this looks better than Popeyes, bro. Oh! I'd take this right here over Popeyes. But when you walk into KFC today in 2025, bro, you're not getting this kind of meal, bro, unfortunately. I mean, I wouldn't know. I haven't been to KFC in a while, but yeah.
In 6 key categories, starting off with the founders. Obviously, KFC was started by Colonel Sanders, who I would say sadly has become more of a joke through most of their advertising lately, so I want to make sure that I acknowledge some of the more impressive parts of his story. His father died when he was 6 years old, leaving his mother...
That's crazy, because that name sounds familiar, but I don't know why I would know that name, bro. Like, I wonder if they're about to mention that he was, like, more known in pop culture for something else, because that name definitely sounds familiar. Colonel Sanders, I've heard that before.
to support 3 young children. Partially due to issues with his stepfather, he dropped out of school and left home at 12 years old, where he worked a series of different jobs. By 1929, when he was approaching 40, he was running a gas station where he started selling fried chicken to his customers and perfected his recipe. By the 1950s, he was traveling the country full-time, using that perfected recipe to convince people to open their own KFC restaurants. By 1964, it was already a national chain with hundreds of locations across the country when he sold it to an investor group, and that investor group proceeded to build the brand even quicker than before. Now,
wait,
Al Copeland,
hold on, you do? What do you know him for? Is he known for more than just KFC, or is he just the KFC guy? Because I know the name for sure, but I just don't know where I've heard it. Okay, yeah, well, I definitely know that, but I didn't know that. I didn't know the connection between the name and the creator. But that's interesting. You learn something every day, man. I had no idea, genuinely. I just knew I've heard the name before.
founder of Popeyes, has a surprisingly similar story. Due to his father leaving, his mother also struggled to support him and his young siblings on her own. He also dropped out of school, though not until he was 16 years old, and spent a fair amount of time in other careers before focusing on fried chicken. In the early 1970s, he was operating a donut shop franchise when the first Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant started opening in his area of Louisiana. He said, "Here I was in a donut shop, breaking my butt, and Kentucky Fried Chicken came in at 11, closed at 8, and was doing 4 times the business. I said if I can come up with a better tasting fried chicken, I can beat these guys." So
wait, hold on.
Popeyes likely would have never even existed if not for KFC, leading me to my next comparison, the states. KFC, well, I'm sure I don't have to tell you, is heavily associated with the state of Kentucky. That is where Colonel Sanders first sold that fried chicken at that gas station and created the secret blend of 11 herbs and spices that later captured the attention of the entire nation. Now, Al Copeland is from Louisiana, and his first attempt to open a fried chicken restaurant was called Chicken on the Run, emphasizing fast service. Well, he struggled to make money with it, so after about 6 months, he shut down for a few days and reopened it under the name Popeyes, that featured spicier Louisiana Cajun-style chicken that proved to be much more popular. It only took him 3 weeks to become profitable, and he later said that he believes the spices made the difference. Ever since, Popeyes has heavily promoted the fact that it is from Louisiana instead of Kentucky, going so far as to rename the restaurant Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen in 2008. That was promoted with a new slogan, Louisiana Fast. Going back a little bit to the early 1990s, Al Copeland actually lost control of the company following its bankruptcy, but was able to keep control of the recipes through a separate company that paid a royalty to use them until Popeyes bought those recipes for $43 million in 2014. The bottom line here is that KFC and Popeyes utilize distinct recipes that are built around spices that are associated with their respective states. However, there is a little twist to this. Popeyes has since moved their headquarters to Miami, Florida, while KFC is in the process of moving theirs to Plano, Texas. The next comparison I want to make is the marketing. For KFC, their biggest mascot has been Colonel Sanders himself. When he sold the company, part of that deal was that he would be an ambassador for the brand, so he continued promoting it almost up until his death in 1980. And even then, they have kept that distinctive image alive in just about every way you can possibly imagine, maybe even going a little bit too far with it at times. For Popeyes, their longest running mascot was logically Popeye the Sailor, who appeared in various advertisements for about 35 years starting early on in the 1970s, but oddly enough, the restaurant is not named after him. It is named after Popeye Doyle, a character in the movie The French Connection, played by Gene Hackman. I do not think there's any direct connection there, but it is a popular movie that was released within a year of that first restaurant opening. Moving over to KFC's most popular slogan over the years, it would have to be "Finger Licking Good," which oddly enough originated in the 1950s. When a KFC commercial showed someone licking his fingers in the background, someone called up to complain about it, and their response was that he was doing it simply because the chicken was finger licking good. For Popeyes, their most popular slogan would have to be from that jingle, "Love That Chicken from Popeyes," that dates back to 1980. And then later in that decade, they started promoting it as America's Fried Chicken Champ in commercials that would show people favoring it over KFC in a blind taste test.
I don't know if I would say it's my favorite, but somewhere that I can always go that gives me like a solid, spot is A&W. Like I'm always down for like a good burger. Ooh, do you count Chipotle? Chipotle's pretty good. But I don't know if that's fast food. But Chipotle's bangs. And then, yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie, Popeyes might be up there, bro. I wouldn't mind a nice chicken every now and there.
Going back to my list, I would also like to compare their association with other restaurants. Most notably for KFC, they were bought by Pepsi in 1986, who were already the owners of Taco Bell and Pizza Hut. 11 years later, they were spun off into their own company that became known as Yum Brands. For a while, they were even opening co-branded restaurants, combining KFC with something else they owned under one building. And that shared ownership has also led to some unique menu items, like the popcorn chicken pizza that was introduced in 2020. Most notably for Popeyes, that company merged with Church's Chicken in 1989.
Oh,
It
shit.
was their biggest non-KFC competitor at the time and proved to be a little more than they can handle. The debt associated with that merger was likely the biggest factor that led to that bankruptcy that soon followed, but a new owner took control of both brands, keeping them together under a parent company that was named America's Favorite Chicken, that went on to acquire other notable restaurant chains, including Cinnabon in 1998. However, they soon sold most of those other brands, so
I ain't gonna lie, chat, it is hot as hell. I'm trying to like pretend like I'm not taking off my pants, but I gotta put on my shorts, bro. I'm sorry, chat. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I got shorts on, don't worry. You know what I'm saying? I got shorts on, but it is what it is, bro. I just had to, you know what I'm saying? Alright.
could reinvest and refocus their attention toward Popeyes. In 2017, Popeyes was acquired by Restaurant Brands International, who was already the owner of Tim Hortons and Burger King and would later go on to buy Firehouse Subs. I know there's a lot going on with all of this. I'm simply trying to convey that KFC and Popeyes have been involved in multiple major restaurant brands that have been impacting them behind the scenes. Another impactful comparison would be chicken sandwiches, and let me back up for a minute.
See, like, he's just giving a bunch of facts, but he's not like saying who takes. I mean, I guess it's up to us to make the conclusion, but he's not really giving like a definite and like, okay, this one's better than that one, this one's better than this is better than that, you know.
This whole video so far has been about fried chicken with the bone still in it, but chicken sandwiches without the bone have crept up to become the next big thing in fast food. Chick-fil-A, specializing in these sandwiches, actually surpassed KFC in sales over a decade ago, and even today remains above KFC and Popeyes. So clearly both of them have been motivated to sell chicken sandwiches, but it has been trickier than you might expect. In 2008, to go along with the name change and the rebrand, Popeyes launched the Big Easy Chicken Sandwich that failed to gain much traction. In 2017, KFC launched the Zinger, which was already popular in other countries, into the US market. They even sent one into the stratosphere to help promote it. The following year, they launched the Crispy Kernel Sandwich, a cool name, but none of it gained the level of attention that they were hoping for. Then, in August of 2019, Popeyes introduced the Chicken Sandwich, and shortly after, had a bit of a Twitter feud with Chick-fil-A that sparked the Chicken Sandwich Wars. You might remember that it gained a lot of attention, and Popeyes was selling more sandwiches than ever before. They even sold out of them for a while. Then they were able to use that momentum to launch some other new menu items, like their sweet and spicy wings that have done well.
That was a time, bro. I don't know if y'all remember that sandwich time chat. I remember somebody got unalived in GTA over a sandwich, bro. Oh! That was crazy.
That momentum to launch some other new menu items, like their sweet and spicy wings that have done well. Meanwhile, KFC waited for over a year to nationally launch the best chicken sandwich ever, which, as you might expect, was nowhere near the sensation of Popeye's chicken sandwich. And I know it might be hard to believe, but these chicken sandwiches elevated Popeyes to a new level and helped close that sales gap that had always existed between KFC. In 2024, when KFC introduced their new original recipe tenders, they did it with a commercial claiming that the chicken sandwich wars are over and the chicken tender battle has begun. They also made the statement, "Why choose Louisiana herbs and seasonings when you can get the iconic KFC original recipe of 11 herbs and spices, one of the most protected trade secrets in the world?" They even introduced it alongside their comeback sauce, and the whole thing feels like they are now positioning themselves as the underdog against Popeyes, which has never really been done before. My final category of comparison is going to be their international presence. Because even though Popeyes is pulled ahead of KFC in the United States, I need to add some perspective by pointing out that KFC is significantly larger around the rest of the world. Shortly after Colonel Sanders sold it in the 1960s, there was a significant push to establish the brand outside of its home country, opening the first international location in England in 1965, soon followed by many others, including Germany, Australia, and Japan. In fact, in 1974, they started promoting KFC in Japan as a holiday meal, and it has since become a tradition among many Japanese people to order KFC. To this day, they say that their busiest day of the year in Japan is on Christmas Eve, but KFC's biggest presence is in China. They opened their first store over there in 1987 and have since opened over 10,000 of them, which is almost 3 times as many as there are in the United States. All of these combined to over 30,000 global locations, making KFC about 6 times larger than Popeyes overall, who remains mostly focused on the US market, with about 70% of their locations being in North America. So even though most of this rivalry has taken place in the United States, that is no longer KFC's primary focus. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of these restaurants? How have they changed over the years, and which one do you prefer today? I think it is impressive that after more than 50 years of fighting, the underdog was able to catch up to its competitor that was once believed to be uncatchable. Finally, I just want to point out that I've made videos about both of these companies in the past, so here I did my best to avoid overlap by focusing more on the rivalry, the comparisons, and presenting things in a different context. But I do recommend either one of those videos if you want to hear more.
I figured, I was like, bro, he's not really touching, because like that was my question at the start. Are you guys thinking it's more about, you know, Popeyes' rise or KFC's fall? But then they didn't really mention too much of the fall, at least. I think KFC kind of either fell or pulled back, at least in the North America. I know it's going crazy globally, but I was like, why isn't he mentioning that? Because it's a whole other video. Hey man, I'm a content creator, bro. I respect it. I get it. Matter of fact, let me like the video, bro. I get it, bro. I understand. But chat, what do you guys think? Who do you guys think takes the cake in terms of best chicken producer? Would you consider KFC on top right now? Actually, let's put them in categories. Who do you think makes the best chicken sandwich, right? I guess that's it. That's the only 2 categories. Who makes the best chicken sandwich? And then who makes better chicken? Right? Is it the same answer for both? I think Popeyes kind of has it for me right now. But I haven't tried the KFC chicken sandwich. That's something that I want to put on my list. Maybe I'll try it sometime this week. That'd be dope. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Alright. Yeah. I'm getting gritty on these niggas. I'm getting gritty on these bitches. Here we go, another talking again. Yeah. I'm getting gritty on these niggas. I'm getting gritty on these bitches. Here we go, another talking again. Yeah. I'm getting gritty on these niggas. I'm getting gritty on these bitches.